Well, this week, the world's most powerful emerging economies hold their annual summit in Brazil. The 5 nations are Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. And they go by the acronym BRICS. They include 4 of the world's top 10 economies. The World Bank says China will probably overtake the United States as the world's #1 economy before the year is out. Nathan King previews the summit for us now.
As the excitement of the World Cup comes to an end, another group of nations from the 4 corners of the earth will be in the spotlight this week in Brazil, host of the 6th annual BRICS summit. They started out as BRIC minus the S, an acronym coined by Goldman Sachs economist Jim O'Neill back in 2001. The S in BRICS, South Africa, was added later.
It was a branding invented by investment bank to basically sell higher risk assets. That was the notion, the idea. But it became something else.
After the 2008 financial crisis, the BRICS nations pushed for global financial reform, suggesting the group was more than just a label. Critics say little else unites them. Economically, the nations are split between 2 big commodity importers, India and China, and 3 big commodity exporters, Russia, Brazil and South Africa. Some are more developed than others, and they sometimes have competing national interests. And at last year's summit in Durban, South Africa, the BRICS nations failed to agree on details for their own development bank with $50 billion in funding. It is hoped that this year the bank will become a reality, and a lending facility for developing nations with around $100 billion in funding. While that sum pales into insignificance when you compare it to the sums available to the IMF and the World Bank, perhaps it's the BRICS countries' flexibility and newness that may help it navigate as it challenges an old world order whose perhaps time is running out.
It is part of, searching for new spaces, to searching for relevance in an international space that is changing all the time.
In fact, the BRICS could soon face competition from another group of emerging economies that economist Jim O'Neill calls the Next 11, countries that include Iran, Indonesia, Mexico and Turkey. They may not be fully fledged global groupings, but they provide structure for rapidly developing countries seeking alternatives to the global status quo. Nathan King, CCTV, Washington.